Rising from the banks of the Missouri River, Omaha's story is one of ambition, conflict, resilience, and reinvention. From frontier land claims and railroad empires to civil rights struggles and a modern skyline, this city has repeatedly stood at the crossroads of American history. To understand Omaha is to understand the forces that shaped the Midwest and the nation itself. The history of Omaha, Nebraska began long before the city officially existed. In the early 1840s, land speculators from Council Bluffs, Iowa crossed the Missouri River and illegally staked claims on land that was still part of Indian country. These early actions reflected the growing westward pressure of American expansion. By the time it became legal to claim land, entrepreneur William D. Brown was already operating the Lone Tree Ferry, transporting settlers across the Missouri River and laying the groundwork for what would soon become a major frontier city. Following a treaty with the Omaha tribe, the Nebraska Territory was established, and Omaha City was officially founded on July 4, 1854. Rapid settlement brought conflict, as claim jumpers and squatters competed for valuable land. To protect their interests, early settlers formed the Omaha Claim Club, a vigilante organization that enforced land claims through intimidation and violence. Many of Omaha's founding figures benefited directly from the club's actions, receiving prime lots in an area known as Scriptown. However, the legality of the Claim Club's activities was eventually challenged, culminating in the U.S. Supreme Court case Baker v. Morton. The ruling marked the end of the organization and signaled a shift toward formal legal governance in Omaha's early development. Despite facing intense competition from neighboring towns and a devastating economic blow during the Panic of 1857, Omaha continued to grow. By the late 1850s, it had emerged as the largest city in Nebraska. Although the city lost its bid to become the state capital to Lincoln in 1867, Omaha's business leaders responded by strengthening its commercial role in the region. They transformed downtown Omaha into a wholesale distribution hub known as Jobbers Canyon, supplying farmers across Nebraska, South Dakota, Wyoming, and the western frontier. This economic success fueled the rise of affluent neighborhoods such as Kuntz Place and the Old Gold Coast, where grand mansions symbolized Omaha's emergence as a powerful economic center of the Great Plains. Through conflict, resilience, and entrepreneurial ambition, Omaha evolved from a contested river crossing into one of the most important cities in the American Midwest, an enduring testament to the forces that shaped frontier America and modern Nebraska. The story of pioneer Omaha begins before it was even legal to claim land in Indian country. In the early 1850s, William D. Brown operated the Lone Tree Ferry, carrying settlers across the Missouri River from Council Bluffs, Iowa to the western bank where Omaha would later rise. Brown is widely credited as the first individual to envision a permanent city at this strategic river crossing, recognizing its potential as a gateway to the western frontier. Momentum towards settlement increased with the passage of the Kansas-Nebraska Act in 1854. Even before the law formally opened the land to settlement, residents from Council Bluffs began staking claims in anticipation of rapid development. On July 4, 1854, Omaha was informally established during a picnic held on Capitol Hill, the present-day site of Omaha Central High School. This symbolic founding reflected both patriotic optimism and the competitive rush for land shaping the American West. As settlers poured into the area, disputes over land claims became common. In response, the Omaha Claim Club was formed to enforce property rights through vigilante justice, targeting claim jumpers and rivals who threatened the holdings of the city's founding elite. Some of the land controlled through these actions later surrounded downtown Omaha and was strategically distributed to territorial legislators in an area known as Scriptown, an effort to secure Omaha's political influence. While Omaha initially served as the territorial capital, this advantage was lost when Nebraska achieved statehood in 1867 and the capital was moved to Lincoln. Years later, the U.S. Supreme Court condemned the violent actions associated with land enforcement in the landmark case Baker v. Morton, signaling the end of extralegal control over land ownership. During these early years, Omaha's social and commercial life centered around prominent establishments such as the Douglas House and the Cozzens House Hotel, where many of the city's founders stayed. Dodge Street emerged as a vital commercial artery, while North 24th Street and South 24th Street developed independently as early business districts, reflecting the city's expanding economic footprint. The pioneers who built Omaha were laid to rest in cemeteries that remain significant to the city's historical landscape. Prospect Hill Cemetery and Cedar Hill Cemetery served as early burial grounds, though Cedar Hill closed in the 1860s and its graves were relocated to Prospect Hill. Over time, the cemetery became the final resting place not only for early settlers, but also for soldiers from Fort Omaha, African Americans, and European immigrants who contributed to the city's growth. Omaha is also home to historic Jewish synagogues and Christian churches dating back to the pioneer era, underscoring the city's early cultural and religious diversity. Today, Omaha's pioneering spirit is commemorated through public monuments and sculpture parks, including Pioneer Courage and Spirit of Nebraska's Wilderness and the Transcontinental Railroad. These landmarks honor the resilience, ambition, and vision of the men and women who transformed a contested riverbank into one of the most important cities in Nebraska's history. During the 19th century, Omaha's economy experienced dramatic cycles of growth and hardship, reflecting the volatile forces shaping the American frontier. Despite early instability, the city quickly established itself as a vital hub for communication, transportation, and commerce in the Great Plains. In 1858, the Omaha Daily Republican was founded by the Omaha Printing Company, making it Nebraska's first regional newspaper, years before the territory achieved statehood. Its presence signaled Omaha's rising influence as a center of political and economic life. Omaha's strategic location along the Missouri River made it a crucial stopping point for settlers, traders, and prospectors moving west. Travelers arrived by steamboat or wagon, using the city as a gateway to the Great Plains and beyond. One of the most remarkable relics of this era is the steamboat Bertrand, which sank north of Omaha in 1865 while transporting supplies to western goldfields. Preserved cargo recovered from the wreck now offers an unparalleled snapshot of frontier life and is displayed at the nearby De Soto National Wildlife Refuge. As Omaha matured, its economy expanded through jobbing and wholesaling industries that supplied goods to farms and frontier towns across the region. This commercial growth attracted railroads, which would permanently transform the city's fortunes. In 1863, groundbreaking began for the first Transcontinental Railroad, marking a pivotal moment in Omaha's history. Authorized by the U.S. Congress in 1862, the Union Pacific Railroad was tasked with building westward, and in January 1866 construction officially commenced from Omaha. The city's role as the eastern terminus of the Transcontinental Line ensured its emergence as a national transportation powerhouse. Another defining chapter in Omaha's industrial rise came with the founding of the Union Stockyards in South Omaha in 1883. The stockyards quickly became one of the largest livestock centers in the United States, attracting major meatpacking companies and thousands of workers. Within 2 decades, 4 of the nation's 5 largest meatpacking firms operated in Omaha, solidifying its reputation as a center of industrial meat production. By the mid-20th century, meatpacking and processing employed nearly half of the city's workforce. Together, railroads, jobbing, and meatpacking drove Omaha's transformation from a frontier settlement into a major industrial city. From the late 19th century through the early decades of the 20th century, these industries fueled population growth, urban expansion, and economic power, laying the foundation for modern Omaha and securing its place in American history. As Omaha expanded in the late 19th century, waves of immigrants and migrants reshaped the city's social and cultural landscape. Distinct ethnic enclaves emerged across Omaha, reflecting broader patterns of immigration in the United States. Irish immigrants settled in Shealytown in South Omaha, while German communities took root in the near North Side. They were soon joined by Jewish immigrants from Europe and African Americans migrating north from the southern states. In South Omaha, Italian and Bohemian immigrants established vibrant neighborhoods known as Little Italy and Little Bohemia, where language, religion, and cultural traditions remained central to daily life. At the same time, Omaha's growing wealth gave rise to an affluent upper class that lived in elegant residential districts throughout the city. Prominent neighborhoods such as the North and South Gold Coast, Bemis Park, Kuntz Place, Field Club, and Midtown Omaha became symbols of prosperity and social status. These areas were connected by a visionary park and boulevard system designed by renowned landscape architect Horace Cleveland, reflecting national trends in urban planning that emphasized beauty, recreation, and civic pride. Transportation improvements supported Omaha's rapid expansion. Horse-drawn streetcars carried passengers across the city, followed by cable tramways and other early transit systems that linked residential neighborhoods to commercial districts. In 1888, the Omaha and Council Bluffs Railway and Bridge Company completed the Douglas Street Bridge, the first pedestrian and wagon bridge connecting Omaha to Council Bluffs. This structure strengthened economic ties across the Missouri River and reinforced Omaha's role as a regional transportation hub. Beneath the surface of growth and prosperity, however, Omaha struggled with widespread vice and political corruption. Gambling, alcohol, and prostitution flourished during the late 19th century, first concentrated in the Burnt District and later in the Sporting District. By 1890, much of this activity was controlled by political boss Tom Denison, whose influence extended deep into city government. Omaha's long-serving mayor, James C. "Cowboy Jim" Dahlman, earned a reputation for tolerating criminal enterprises while maintaining popular support through his charismatic leadership and 8 terms in office. The city was also marked by violence, labor conflict, and racial tension. Natural disasters such as the Great Flood of 1881 failed to slow Omaha's turbulent growth. In 1882, the Camp Dump strike brought national attention to labor unrest when state militia and federal troops from Fort Omaha were deployed to protect railroad strikebreakers during a confrontation with unionized workers. Armed with Gatling guns and artillery, the military presence underscored the intensity of industrial conflict in the city. The strike ended with 1 death and multiple injuries. Racial violence further scarred Omaha's history. In 1891, a mob lynched Joe Coe, an African-American porter accused of raping a white woman, despite a lack of due process. This event was one of several riots and episodes of civil unrest during the period, reflecting deep racial divisions and the failure of local authorities to protect minority communities. Yet Omaha also sought to present itself as a symbol of progress and opportunity. In 1898, civic leaders led by Gordon Wattles organized the Trans-Mississippi and International Exposition, a massive World's Fair celebrating agricultural innovation, industrial power, and Western development. Held at Coons Park and the Omaha Driving Park in the Coons Place neighborhood, the exposition attracted more than 2 million visitors. Running concurrently was the Indian Congress, which brought together over 500 Native Americans from across the United States, making it one of the largest gatherings of indigenous peoples in American history at the time. By the end of the 19th century, Omaha stood as a city of striking contrasts, prosperous yet troubled, ambitious yet divided. Immigration, industry, conflict, and cultural exchange had all shaped its identity, setting the stage for the challenges and transformations of the 20th century. As Omaha entered the 20th century, rapid population growth intensified social competition and exposed deep divisions between labor, management, and ethnic communities. The city's industrial economy, especially meatpacking and railroads, attracted thousands of workers, but it also produced some of the most bitter labor struggles in the Midwest. These tensions often erupted into violence, placing Omaha at the center of national attention. In 1900, the city became the focus of a nationwide controversy when Edward Cudahy Jr., the son of a powerful meatpacking executive, was kidnapped. The case shocked the public and highlighted the immense influence wielded by Omaha's industrial elite, as well as the perceived inequalities within the city's justice system. At the same time, labor disputes intensified, with employers frequently hiring African American workers as strikebreakers. This practice deepened racial resentment, fueling conflict between white immigrant laborers and black residents seeking economic opportunity. Ethnic violence reached a turning point in 1909, when a mob in South Omaha attacked and destroyed Greek Town, a neighborhood built by earlier Greek immigrants. Businesses were burned, homes were looted, and the Greek population was forced to flee the city entirely. The riot revealed the fragility of immigrant communities and underscored how economic anxiety could erupt into ethnic and racial aggression. Despite these challenges, Omaha also became an early center of civil rights activism. In 1912, the city established the first chapter of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People west of the Mississippi River. This marked a significant milestone in the struggle for racial equality and positioned Omaha as an important, if often overlooked, site in the broader history of the American civil rights movement. Disaster struck the following year when the Omaha Easter Sunday tornado of 1913 tore through the city. The storm devastated large portions of Midtown Omaha and inflicted especially severe damage on African American neighborhoods, compounding existing inequalities and leaving thousands homeless. Amid this turbulent year, future U.S. President Gerald R. Ford was born in Omaha. His early connection to the city is preserved today through a museum dedicated to his birthplace. Omaha's most infamous episode of racial violence occurred in 1919 during the Red Summer, a period of widespread racial unrest across the United States. Thousands of white residents marched from South Omaha to the Douglas County Courthouse, intent on lynching Will Brown, an African American laborer accused of raping a white woman. The mob set fire to the courthouse, causing over $1 million in damage, before seizing Brown. He was brutally beaten, shot, lynched, and his body burned. Federal troops from Fort Omaha were ultimately deployed to restore order, protect North Omaha's black community, and prevent further violence. By the early decades of the 20th century, Omaha had become a city defined by contradiction, industrial success paired with deep social unrest, civic ambition shadowed by racial and labor conflict. These events left lasting scars but also shaped the city's evolving identity, laying the groundwork for later reforms and struggles that would continue throughout the century. From the 1920s through the 1950s, North Omaha emerged as one of the city's most dynamic cultural centers. The near North Side fostered a thriving artistic and intellectual community that produced influential writers, thinkers, and performers. Figures such as Tilly Olson, Wallace Thurman, Lloyd Hunter, and Anna Mae Winburn rose from this environment, reflecting the creativity and resilience of a community shaped by both opportunity and discrimination. Music played a central role in North Omaha's identity, with local musicians developing a distinct cultural scene while also joining nationally touring bands that connected the city to broader American musical movements. The economic collapse of the Great Depression deeply affected Omaha, but recovery came through military and industrial expansion during World War II. Just south of the city, the Glenn L. Martin Company operated a massive aircraft manufacturing plant at what later became Offutt Air Force Base. During the 1940s, the factory produced 521 B-29 Superfortress bombers, including the Enola Gay and Boxcar, aircraft that would play a decisive role in the final stages of the war against Japan. This industrial surge provided thousands of jobs and reshaped Omaha's economic future. Post-war infrastructure projects transformed the city's physical landscape. The construction of Interstates 80, 480, and 680, along with the North Omaha Freeway, accelerated suburban growth and improved regional connectivity. However, these developments also generated controversy, particularly in North Omaha, where highway routes cut through established neighborhoods, displacing residents and weakening community cohesion. During this period, Omaha also contributed quietly to the national civil rights movement. At Creighton University, the DePores Club organized early sit-ins to challenge segregation in public accommodations, employing strategies that would later define the broader movement of the 1950s and 1960s. Omaha's strategic importance increased further in 1948 with the relocation of the Strategic Air Command to Offutt Air Force Base in nearby Bellevue. This decision cemented the region's role in national defense during the Cold War and delivered a long-term economic boost that stabilized the local economy for decades. By the 1950s and 1960s, Omaha had reinvented itself as a major insurance center. More than 40 insurance companies headquartered in the city, including Woodman of the World and Mutual of Omaha. At its peak, Omaha rivaled leading insurance hubs such as Hartford, New York City, and Boston, though it never surpassed them in national influence. Despite this diversification, Omaha faced severe economic challenges by the late 1950s. After briefly surpassing Chicago in meat processing, the city lost more than 10,000 jobs as railroads and meatpacking companies restructured or relocated. These losses disproportionately affected North Omaha, where poverty became increasingly entrenched as employment opportunities disappeared. Social unrest intensified during the 1960s, when three major race riots along North 24th Street devastated the near North Side's commercial corridor. The destruction erased much of the area's economic base, and recovery proved slow and uneven. Amid these struggles, signs of renewal appeared. In 1969, the completion of Woodman Tower, Omaha's first major skyscraper, symbolized ambition and confidence in the city's future. Since the 1970s, Omaha has continued to expand, primarily westward, where available land fueled suburban development. West Omaha became home to the majority of the city's population, while North and South Omaha evolved into centers of new immigration, marked by increasing economic and racial diversity. In 1975, a powerful tornado followed by a major blizzard caused more than $100 million in damages, testing the city's resilience once again. Downtown Omaha underwent significant revitalization beginning in the late 1970s. Projects such as Jean Leahy Mall and the W. Dale Clark Library reintroduced public life to the urban core. In the 1980s, former fruit warehouses were transformed into the Old Market, a mixed-use district that became a centerpiece of Omaha's cultural and economic renewal. One of the most controversial redevelopment decisions came in 1989 with the demolition of Jobbers Canyon, once the largest intact warehouse district in the United States. Its removal paved the way for the Conagra Foods campus and new residential development, including the conversion of historic structures like the Nash Block into condominiums. In South Omaha, the historic stockyards were dismantled, leaving only the Livestock Exchange building, which was preserved, repurposed for mixed use, and listed on the National Register of Historic Places. Together, these transformations illustrate Omaha's ongoing reinvention, a city shaped by culture, industry, conflict, and renewal, continually redefining itself in response to the changing forces of American history. In the late 20th century, Omaha's relationship with its past entered a period of reflection and controversy. A growing historic preservation movement led to the designation of numerous Omaha landmarks and the listing of several districts and structures on the National Register of Historic Places. Much of this movement gained urgency after a defining loss. In 1989, Omaha demolished Jobbers Canyon, the largest historic district ever listed on the National Register of Historic Places to be destroyed in the United States, a record that still stood decades later. Located along the Missouri River, the Jobbers Canyon Historic District once symbolized Omaha's rise as a wholesale and distribution powerhouse. Its warehouse buildings, however, had been allowed to deteriorate over time and were increasingly vacant. Fires, some linked to a growing homeless population sheltering inside the abandoned structures, further contributed to their decline. When Conagra Foods demanded the demolition of the district to construct a new corporate headquarters, threatening to relocate if denied, city leaders approved the plan. At the time, no formal strategy existed to revitalize or repurpose the historic buildings, and their destruction became a defining moment in Omaha's urban history. The loss sparked public debate and ultimately fueled stronger efforts to protect what remained of the city's architectural heritage. During the 1980s and 1990s, Omaha also experienced significant shifts in its corporate landscape. Several major companies either relocated or restructured, altering the city's economic identity. Enron, originally founded in Omaha in 1930, moved its headquarters to Houston in 1987 under the leadership of Kenneth Lay. First Data Corporation, a major credit card processing company founded in Omaha in 1969, later moved its headquarters to Atlanta. The city also played a notable role in the rise of the technology and telecommunications sectors. Innocomm, founded in Omaha in 1991, specialized in customized computer systems for large businesses and rose quickly to Fortune 500 status before filing for bankruptcy in 2000. Northwestern Bell, the regional Bell System affiliate, maintained its headquarters in Omaha from 1896 until relocating to Denver in 1991 as U.S. West. Omaha was also the birthplace of several companies that would later shape the global communications industry. Level 3 Communications began in 1985 as Kiewit Diversified Group, a division of Omaha-based Kiewit Corporation, before relocating its headquarters to Denver in 1998. Metropolitan Fiber Systems, founded in Omaha in 1993 with backing from Kiewit CEO Walter Scott Jr. and investor Warren Buffett, became a major force in Internet infrastructure after acquiring UUNET in 1996. In 1997, the company was purchased by WorldCom under Bernie Ebbers, who moved the combined firm's headquarters from Omaha to Mississippi, an early chapter in one of the most notorious corporate collapses in American history. These departures underscored the challenges Omaha faced as it transitioned from an industrial and regional corporate center to a more diversified economy. At the same time, they reinforced a growing awareness of what could be lost when long-term planning gave way to short-term decisions. By the end of the 20th century, Omaha stood at a crossroads, reshaped by globalization, corporate consolidation, and hard lessons about preservation. The city's renewed commitment to protecting its historic neighborhoods and landmarks emerged directly from these experiences, reflecting a determination to balance economic growth with cultural and historical continuity. At the dawn of the 21st century, Omaha entered a new phase of urban transformation marked by downtown redevelopment, cultural investment, and a reimagining of its skyline. Several major skyscrapers and civic institutions reshaped the city's core, signaling renewed confidence in Omaha's economic and cultural future. In 2002, the first National Bank Tower on Dodge Street was completed, becoming the tallest building in Omaha and in the state of Nebraska. Rising 634 feet, it surpassed the Woodman Tower and redefined the city's skyline. Around the same time, the development of North Downtown introduced a new concentration of entertainment and cultural venues. The opening of the CenturyLink Center, now known as the Kai Health Center, along with the Slowdown Music Venue and Filmstream's Cinema Complex, transformed the area into a vibrant destination. One of the most significant additions to North Downtown was TD Ameritrade Park, construction of which began in 2009 and concluded in 2011. The stadium became the permanent home of the College World Series, an event that draws thousands of visitors to Omaha each year and has become a defining feature of the city's national identity. Nearby, the Union Pacific Center and the Holland Performing Arts Center, opened in 2004 and 2005 respectively, reinforced Omaha's growing reputation as a regional center for business and the arts. While downtown evolved, West Omaha experienced substantial commercial and residential growth. Developments such as Village Point expanded retail and office space, while former landmark sites were repurposed for mixed-use projects. The former Aksar Ben Arena grounds were redeveloped into Aksarben Village, a major residential, business, and entertainment district. In 2011, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Nebraska completed a new headquarters there, joining a growing cluster of corporate offices. Another transformative project, Midtown Crossing at Turner Park, developed by Mutual of Omaha, introduced high-rise condominiums, retail spaces, and public gathering areas that bridged downtown and midtown neighborhoods. Omaha's relationship with the Missouri River also changed dramatically during this period. The opening of the Bob Carey pedestrian bridge in 2008 physically and symbolically linked Omaha with Council Bluffs, encouraging cross-river development. Residential projects such as Riverfront Place condominiums brought new life to the waterfront, prompting Council Bluffs to accelerate its own riverfront redevelopment in response. Sports and national events further elevated Omaha's profile. The United States Olympic team swimming trials were hosted in the city multiple times, in 2008, 2012, 2016, and 2021, drawing national attention and highlighting Omaha's modern facilities and revitalized downtown. In the 2020s, Omaha embarked on some of its most ambitious projects yet. The redevelopment of Jean Leahy Mall transformed the park into a dynamic urban green space connected to the riverfront. Plans for the Omaha streetcar introduced a new vision for public transit, aimed at linking key districts across the urban core. Rising above these developments is the Mutual of Omaha Headquarters Tower, a 677-foot skyscraper slated to become the tallest building in Nebraska upon its completion, symbolizing the city's continued upward growth. Omaha's political landscape also entered a new chapter. In 2025, Douglas County Treasurer John Ewing was elected mayor, ending a 12-year mayoral administration and becoming the first black mayor in the city's history, an event reflecting the evolving civic and social identity of modern Omaha. As the 21st century unfolds, Omaha stands as a city shaped by reinvention. Rooted in its frontier past yet oriented toward the future, it continues to balance preservation and progress while redefining its place in the American Midwest. Omaha's history is not a single story, but a mosaic of peoples, industries, struggles, and triumphs that continue to shape the city today. From its pioneer roots to its role in global commerce, cultural movements, and urban renewal, Omaha remains a powerful example of how American cities evolve through challenge and change. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the history of Omaha, Nebraska, make sure to like the video and share it with fellow history enthusiasts. Subscribe to History Love for more in-depth documentaries exploring the places, people, and events that shaped our world. And let us know in the comments, which city or historical story should we explore next?